What's up, guys? This is my latest video tutorial, and in this one we are going to work on doing black hair. This is a request that I've gotten a few times, and it's something that I've done before. I know I've done it with a few videos, but I know a few people ask for like a black woman in particular, and so I figured I would make this this video for Patreon. And as you can see, we're rocking a new setup here. I have an overlay that I created, and I'm recording this in OBS. This is similar to my Twitch overlay. Let me play my music. So basically, I did a variation on my existing Twitch overlay, something a little bit more simple. Right now, it's kind of bare bones. I'll probably add a few more details to it down the line, just to kind of get things going, but for now this will do. So anyway, we are working on this picture, and this is going to be a hair-based tutorial. I'll probably do more than one to do different types of hair. I got this sketch in front of me. I'm gonna pull up my reference. Bam. So we are going to start with the hair in this one. Normally I will start with the face, but the face isn't necessarily the focus, though we will color the face as well. So I wanted to do something with like natural black hair, and I wanted to get something that, you know, kind of a fun hairstyle. She has like the braids and stuff and the bangs in the front, and I like the colors. And I like the color variation between like her little poofy bun she has, and then like she has the bangs in the front, and then the dark hair into her roots. So this is what we're going to work on, and get some colors ready. Look at my reference. I'm gonna try to pick colors based on those. I have my scratch sheet. This is a good way to get everything figured out. You guys can see. This is E15 or E15 rather. That's the way that you're supposed to pronounce the colors, by the way. It may not necessarily make sense, but that's what I've learned. This is good. So yeah, we'll use that. Let's see what else we got here. We need a dark color. I think bark maybe. Or let me see. Let's try E29. It's not quite dark enough, but I probably will need it, so we're gonna pull it out. Okay, so these 5 colors should be more than enough for her hair, and well, at least the reddish parts. I'm gonna need a few more, maybe for her darker, like the braids and stuff. Let me see. There's almost like a hint of purple in there. I'm not sure which color I should use for that though. I have to build these colors up gradually. That's the key to working with markers, is you want to build the colors up gradually over time. You want to get those undertones in there. That's kind of what helps the colors pop a little bit. So you know what? I'm actually going to get some purple. Yeah, I'm going to use that, and we're going to put some darker colors on top of that. And that should give us what we're looking for. So between these 3 colors and maybe a little bit of the light brown, we should be able to get this across. So yeah, let's begin. I'm gonna be looking up to check my reference and make sure the drawing is in view of the camera. All right, so I'm gonna start with the bangs, and right off the top, I know that I just want to. I'm not going to use the chisel end. I'm not going to use the brush tip end, rather I'm using the chisel end. And the idea here is we want to just get the basic shapes filled in. This is also the base layer. You know what, actually, let me try something. Let me try this. Okay, I think I'm gonna do something a little bit more saturated. I'm gonna go with this E08. This is more of a reddish. Maybe E07. Let me see. Might be better. Yeah, okay. Let's do E07. That way we can knock the colors back when we build up the layers on top. And you know what? On second thought, see, I'm bouncing all over the place because I'm not. I'm kind of scatterbrained. I'm not committed to any decisions just yet. I'm noticing like more colors in there the more I study this reference photo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce around between this E07, and then as I start to add the layers on top, I'll put a little bit of this E56. That's a dark reddish color, almost like a wine, and I think that'll look good. So yeah, let's just build up these colors. And I'm not worried about it looking all pretty or anything at the moment, because this is just to help me get my base colors in. Do the same thing with her bun. Sometimes, like when I'm working from reference, I want to get the likeness of the subject that I'm working on, but I don't necessarily want to be a slave to it. It's more important to me that I get the idea across and less about getting a one-to-one likeness. I like to kind of interpret things my own way to make it a little bit more interesting. And that can include the color choices that I use. Like here, this color is way more saturated than what I'm seeing in the reference photo, but I'm seeing like hints of it in there. And I know that by like adding more layers over time, you can kind of get that that subtleness that comes from building up your colors gradually. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my E51. This is dark suntan. I'm gonna make a point to try to mention these colors as I go, but I know I won't remember to do it every time. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Now I'm using this brush tip in. I'm gonna soften some of these edges. All right, that's good enough. So now what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna really start filling in some of these shapes within the hair itself, and I'm going to try to get a little bit more of an even color on top of the hair, like this layer, because right now it's looking pretty messy. Let me see, where's my light brown? Well, no, I need this purple first, actually. I forgot. So we still need to do the darker part of the hair. Let's not forget that. So I'm gonna put this purple in first, and it's gonna seem a little weird, but it'll come together in the end. I hope. Sometimes I mess up. We're in tutorial mode, so hopefully I hold it together. This is just a base layer for her darker part of her hair. And we're gonna go and add on a few darker layers after that. But I just wanted to get this in first. Subtlety is the key, name of the game. When it comes to realism and trying to get those plane changes and those undertones, sometimes it's necessary to put in these preliminary colors, layers. You see this a lot with paint, oil painting and stuff like that, but also do it with markers. The approach with markers is very similar, so it makes sense that there'll be a lot of similarities between the two. Paint, I think, is more forgiving because you can make changes to paint in ways that you can't necessarily do with marker. And I say this a lot, but you have to think about your color choices ahead of time because you don't want to go too dark and too saturated too early on. Otherwise, you start to lose bits and pieces of the drawing as you go. Okay. All right, so let's get this. This is R56. Okay. I'm looking at the drawing. I'm gonna add this R56 on top. This is that red champagne color I was telling you about. Now I'm trying to be more calculated with how I go about filling in these shapes. Something to note is right around here, you'll see that the color gets lighter as the hair gets thinner against the light background. That's something to keep in mind. For those parts, that's where we pull out our dark suntan, E15 rather. You can even try to get in a little bit of detail. He has like this, little curls and stuff going on. You can even get a little bit lighter. I'll probably fill this background in. Let me see. Let me try this. This is YR31. But you can even get a little bit lighter. Get those in between areas just a little bit. Because his background, as you can see, is like a beige color, like a light beige. And once that's in, it'll kind of blend in a little bit more. It gives you a more seamless transition into the background. The thing with realism is you don't necessarily want, with things like hair, it's not so much a hard jump from the background to the foreground. Like you see it in her shirt because it's like she has a black shirt on. It's a solid shape more or less. But with hair, especially black hair, it can get fuzzy, and you want to get those subtle plane changes in the hair, but you also want to get like that outer rim, like that little glow that the light, because the light bounces off the hair and it kind of gives you like this, I don't know how you would put it. It's almost like clouds. You could think of black hair almost like cotton candy or clouds and things like that. And sometimes like when the sun shines against a cloud or behind the cloud, you see like that little rim, the little rim light effect going on. So let's see. All right, now we're going to start detailing, and I'm going to start with the bangs. This is what I've been working on all this time. I'm just going to build up my shadow colors gradually, and I'm using E19, by the way. Taking my time here. Just want to get these transitions. And then I'm gonna go E18. Now for some reason, E18 and E19, like you would think that E19 is darker, but it's lighter than E18. Not sure why, but I'm gonna roll with it. So you can see this is E18 right here on the side, and it's pretty dark. So we can use that for those occlusion shadows. Just taking my time now. Okay, I'm gonna bounce back and forth between these two colors. I need to blend these a little bit. I'm trying to be careful not to really overdo it with the dark colors, because that wax buildup that happens with the darker colors, it can be annoying. You do what you can. I'm using this chisel end, trying to add just a little bit of texture at the top, as well as get some of that red color in there. And a lot of this is like kind of an impressionist approach. I don't need it to be 100% accurate. But that's honestly, this is kind of good, like a good stopping point. From this point on, like it all depends on how detailed and how, I guess, realistic you want to go with it. For me, that's a good stopping point. Now I'm gonna repeat this same process over here, and I'm gonna start with this, what was this again? R5-6, and just gonna build up these base layer a little bit more. And see, the thing about markers is like when you color like this, like messy, like, you know, not taking your time, you get these streaky marks and everything going on, which is unappealing, I think, in most situations. But for stuff like this, it's necessary almost, because you want to get that that scratchiness with her hair. Because I mean, it's, as black people, we have that like that coarse hair. It's thick, and you want to be able to capture like the texture in her hair. And there's more than one way to do this, but for me, I like to kind of keep it a little bit rough, and that helps me get it in. Where's my dark suntan? Actually, no, wait. Yeah, dark suntan. First, we're gonna go around these. I'm gonna kind of start around the outside, work my way inward, and then we're gonna tackle her hair on top, and well, not on top, but here rather. The top, tackle that. But first, I want to do the same thing that I did here with the hair around the outside. I'm using the brush tip in because I can get that feather like effect to keep it a little soft. And then I'm gonna repeat this with that yellow color that I had. And we should be in business. All right, where's my yellow color? Yeah, doing black hair, I think, depending on the type, like if you're doing braids can take a lot of time. And that's not a black thing, that's just anybody. Like drawing braids, I don't care if it's like realistic or like cartoonish. That stuff can take quite some time. Those details in there. All right, so now this is going to be a little bit more complicated than this part because you got a lot of like shadow colors within that little puff ball there. So we got to get that stuff one step at a time. I'm gonna work my way from the left to right. I'm right-handed, so it just works better that way for me. And I'm gonna start detailing our way across. You always want to be thinking about your light source and the angle of your shadows. And again, you don't have to be 100% accurate, but it helps, I think, to have some sense of consistency. Like you can kind of take this idea and do your own interpretation of it and stylize it, but so long as it makes sense in the eyes of the viewer. Like you don't want to have a light source and your shadows and stuff are all over the place, because then it starts to look like there's no consistency in your drawing, and you don't want that. You can squint your eyes even and try to make out some of these shapes that way to get more of a raw, I guess, image in your mind. There's a lot of things you can do. It really all comes down to which method is most comfortable for you, and then you run with that. Me personally, I like to take a little bit of a stylized approach. I like angles, I like hard edges, and I've done a lot of realism over the years. I've done caricature art, so it's one of those things that I try to translate across every style that I work in. I'm using this brush tip in, and I'm using the side to kind of feather upwards. And now I'm going to repeat that process again with this E18, and it's the same principle. I'm actually going to use a chisel tip in because this is a little tip. I've talked about this a few times before. The chisel tip in is less likely to give you that waxy buildup with the saturated colors than the brush tip in. The brush tip in tends to carry more ink, and so you end up with with darker colors like this one, and like B39, which is a dark bluish green color, and like E49, which is a really dark brown. You end up with that waxy color in no time. But I find that, me personally, I find that it helps to use a chisel tip in when you're trying to put in those shadow colors without that happening. But that's something to keep in mind. And it also is a little bit lighter. It's not as dark as the brush tip end. Make of that what you will. I guess it's lighter because it's not as much ink coming out of this end. And also because of this flat, the chisel end is flat, you get a more even color distribution. So these are all things to think about. It's not to say you can never use the brush tip end, because it does have its purposes, but probably best to use it in areas where there's not already a bunch of colors on the page. Something to bear in mind. I'm gonna do it for the darkest areas here. Because you really want to push those shadows back so the lighter areas can come forward, and then you get the illusion of 3D, which is what we're going for. And that's something that no matter what you're working on, it can be realism, it can be cartoons. If your shadow game is on point, then the whole thing comes together and it reads as something three-dimensional. Just try to use it sparingly. Now, I'm just going to take a few liberties because there's so many small details with stuff like this that you can spend all day trying to get every detail if you want. Me personally, I'd rather not do that because it's too time consuming. And I've done, like, in the past, like I've done hyperrealism, and it's impressive from a technique standpoint. You know, from a technical standpoint, being able to do that is impressive, but for me, it's not as interesting to look at because I'm basically looking at a copy of a photo. I kind of want to see what you bring to it. You know, how do you make this thing your own? Because you're already using a reference. So the next best thing you can do, I think, is to try to interpret it in your own unique way. Where's my E19? I'm going to go back to that and kind of touch up some of these areas here at the top. Always be checking your reference. gonna add a few more darker. Let's see, I'm gonna analyze this a little bit. More darker shadows in here. I'm gonna take this E07 and I'm gonna go over some of these darker areas just a little bit at the top, and this kind of like knocks back some of the darker colors a little bit, and it blends them ever so slightly. Now this is more or less fine. It's a stopping point. I think that what I can do later is add in some details with pencil. But if you want to be strictly marker, that's about as far as you need to go, honestly. You don't need to do much after that. So this is E47. This is, what's the name of this color? Dark brown. And we're coming back to the dark parts of her hair. Gonna add in some and some shadows. Okay, so I'm gonna build this up more. Let me see what this color is. I can't remember. Yeah, that's actually something that I won't be needing. I'm gonna put this back. E29. Okay. I will need dark bark. My dark brown. And you know what? Let's see. I'm gonna use this V29, which is another violet-like color. Build up some of these areas a little bit. So I got her hair. It's a little bit browner than what the reference has, and that's not bad necessarily. I mean, as long as it still reads, I think that's the most important thing. But if I wanted to get it closer to the reference, I need to get something a little bit more darker. Oh, this is dry. I don't feel like filling that up right now anyway. Let me see, I need a dark. Maybe this, let's see. That should be good. All right, so I'm gonna use E79, E49, and probably a little bit more to this E47. Now, right at her roots, you see the transition to like her scalp, and we want to get that lighter color from her skin, as well as the the hair, because the hair gets lighter towards the root because of, you know, how close it is to the skin. We don't want it to have a drastic jump between those two values. It'll look weird. So what we need to do is first I'm going to build up my details on these braids, which won't require a whole lot. Alright, I'm gonna use this dark bark. The first thing I want to do is I want to get the cast shadow from her bun against her head. Is this dark bark? It is. It's actually not reading all that well. You know what I can use? Actually, this will be good. Let me see. This might work. I'm gonna try this. This is BV08. This is blue violet. Still too muted. I can use it, but I need something else. This isn't going to be enough for me. I need more contrast. I'll use it in her hair a little bit. Honestly, you might have to go really dark. Might have to get black if I want it to show. Let me try this. Now this is BV29, which is a really dark grayish violet color. Let's see if this does the trick. Not quite. I'm gonna just use black. I try to avoid using black whenever possible, but I feel like I kind of have to, because everything else is showing up kind of muted. But we can blend it as we go along. Okay, I'm gonna go back to dark bark. I won't need all these other colors I picked out anymore. So I'm gonna put these back. And we don't need you either. Try to keep my desk somewhat organized so I can keep track of what I'm doing here. this is good. We can call that a stopping point for the hair for now, because I think that we can add more details later. But I actually want to start to tackle his face, and that's going to definitely take longer. I'm trying to see what colors I need to pick. So now I'm going to need E13, which is light suntan. I'm going to need dark suntan, which is E15. We're going to need a little bit of orange. So I think maybe YR12. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna need that for her eyeshadow and her lips. That's E04, which is NYX Lipstick Natural. It's one of my favorite colors. Let's see. Kind of bright. I don't want to get that. Something a little darker. I'll come back for that. Let me get the skin situated first. A lot of subtle color changes in skin. Like even there's some purple in there, but not this one. That's too dark. We don't want that. We want this purple. So the one I put back, I actually need again. And let's work with that for now. All right, so the first thing I want to do is, I don't want that yellow. That's too, need a yellowish color though. The first thing I want to do is I want to start with the highlights, the lightest areas in the drawing. So the easiest way to do that for me is to just start with the light color, and I'm gonna use this pinkish color. This is R30, and I'm gonna just put in like a rough base color. I'm gonna do this across the whole face. It would help if I were to do a little bit cleaner maybe, but there's to be a lot of colors going on here, so this is gonna get pushed to the back. This is the part where you just have to trust the process. I'm gonna take this YR30, which is a yellowish color. A lot of oranges in her skin. She has that caramel skin tone, but in the lightest areas it gets to be more pinkish, and I want to capture that too. I'm gonna go back to this R30. Now it looks funky, but when we put those darker colors in, it'll take shape and it'll look like an actual face. Let's hope so. All right. So what I'm about to do next actually is, let me get a brown pencil. My cup. Let's see. Where you at, brown? Get a light brown too. Need that Tuscan red. The hell is a light brown? I know I have one. Here it is. All right. What I want to do is I don't want to lose these shapes in her face, like for her eyes and stuff like that. So I'm going to draw them in again. Raise his eyebrow a little bit. Definitely want to make sure I get this ear more clearly. I already kind of went a little bit over my sketch, but hey, it's okay. Bring it down a little bit. When I'm doing faces, some of the things that I like to focus on first are some of the most complicated parts. And for me, that can be the eyes. And in her case, the eyes are closed, so I don't have to really do a bunch of rendering and stuff. But I do have to keep in mind the difference between her eyelashes and the shadow casted from her eyelashes. That's where it'll get tricky. I'm gonna start there and work my way out. I think it's always good to be thinking about a starting point. In particular, like if you're like me, you like to work left to right because you're right-handed in most cases. I think that may help. Something to be thinking about, you know. All right, so now I want to start working on her face. I'll put some actual colors in here now. And I'm gonna start with this light suntan. Something lighter maybe towards the bottom. Should be good. This is YR20. Okay. You guys can consider this a lesson in skin as well as hair. It's important to think about the actual colors you see and not the colors that you think that things are logically. And what I mean by that is, we know that grass is green, sky is blue, but that might not necessarily be the case in every scenario. And you have to think about that. You have to think about the actual colors that you're seeing versus what you think they should be in your head. And a lot of times, it'll probably throw you off. I think a good thing to do is like take an image and use like the color picker if you're using something like maybe Photoshop or whatever. And just use the color picker and you'll see what the colors actually are, isolated from everything else. And sometimes it'll like blow your mind. A lot of colors going on in her face. Let me use this R83 for her eyeshadow. Put some on the lips as well, because she does have this shade of pink here. Looking at this shadow on her face. I think I need this E11 as well. I'm gonna use this E11, E11. I'm just gonna start building up my actual skin color. we're trying to get this little area here. Trying to be really mindful of how I approach it. Which this color is this. Okay. I'm gonna come back to my starting area, which was the eyes and this little forehead area. Now I want to get those more saturated shadow colors in there. All right, so this is E51, and I'm gonna start with the eyes, this area here, and I'm gonna start building up those deep shadows so we can get those plane changes and everything going, and hopefully it will start to look like something. Let's see. Get this eyebrow out the way. I think I need something a little bit more dull. Let me see. It's too dark though. How about this? This is E25. Actually, let's actually play this a little bit more safe. I'm gonna map out these shadows with the pencil. Let me get my darker pencil so I can distinguish what's what. So this is going to be the eyelash. All right, so where's my pink color? I want to bump up this eyeshadow a little bit more. Now I'm gonna take my E25 and I'm gonna start putting in the actual shadow on her face, under her hair in the front. Not nearly as dark as I would like it to be though. So I will have to go darker. I didn't want to necessarily go darker just yet, but I'm trying to get this to read well. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to go for her eyebrows. I'm gonna do the eyelashes. Take my E04, it's my lipstick natural. Now I'm bouncing between colors. This is the point where I kind of pick up my pace a little bit because I'm trying to get every color one after another. I can tell what I'm doing a little bit. All right, where's that? With it. I'm gonna get really dark now. So I use that dark color around the edge to give me a sharp jump. I'm gonna fill this in a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is look at my colors again. What I'm gonna do is use a white pencil within those shadows to help them get that reflective light. And that'll help it read better. building up some of these surrounding areas a little bit more. Because now we have to get those subtle plane changes. I don't want to forget about those. Now this is the good thing about the brush tip. When it's time to start doing these small details, come in handy. Build up these lips a little bit. Let's see. Give her a little bit more life. Oops, I didn't mean to bump my camera there. I'm using my my iPhone actually to film this. It's on a gooseneck and it's not attached to my desk. I try to keep it off my desk because when I move, if I erase or if I move too quickly when I'm coloring or something, it'll shake. What I've tried to do instead is just put it on like a stool next to my desk. Kind of minimize that from happening, but I just bumped it with my knee. And then some shadows. Light detailing. Okay, where's my light suntan? Here we go. Use this again. We haven't forgotten about the ear and this, other stuff going on, but try to get the most complicated stuff out of the way first because it is like the main focus of the drawing. The face, oops, bumped it again. You want to get the face taken care of, and you want to get like the details in the eyes and stuff like that, because that's kind of what people come to see, And if that stuff doesn't look right, then your whole drawing might be in trouble. So because I'm gonna bounce back up to this hair a little bit. I need to get some of these little smaller details around the roots. I'm using E44. All right, that looks a little better. We need to get back to this face. We're not done. Not quite. So I want to bring in some of this a little bit. This highlight area is not a little bit too wide. I'm gonna bring this over a little bit. Jump back to my light suntan. I'm trying to build up these shadows a little bit more before I move on to the ear. They're more or less there. What I'm gonna do in a little bit is I'm gonna use a white pencil for that reflective light, and that'll help some of those shapes read a little bit more. At the moment, I'm just trying to get these subtle plane changes. Yes, that's good. Some of the stuff that I want to do at the end is get a pencil and add in some details, but for now I'm going to leave it as it is. First things first, I'm going to start with my shadows and make sure that I get those mapped in correctly. Now, because the neck is a different color, you know what, actually, first things first, before I go any further, I need to get this earring out of the way. We'll leave the earring like that. I'm gonna add some highlights on it so it doesn't look so weird, but I just needed to get the shape out. So what I was saying with the neck was, there's a lot of, because of the shadow colors in there, you got more pinks and a little bit of purple in there actually. My approach is gonna be, in terms of my color choices, it'll be a little bit different, but same process. I'm putting more pink down like I did in the beginning, but I'm doing it a little bit more liberally, I guess. I'll actually put some more in this ear. And just so I don't forget, I'm going to get these little tassel things filled in. And these, again, these are not the focus of the drawing. Stuff like this is like, it's fine details. You can go as far as little as you want with it. But for the purposes of this tutorial, which was really a hair tutorial, we already covered that part for the most part. The only part that's missing is the you know, the final details, the final touches. And we are an hour and 22 minutes in recording time. So, you know, actually we can fill this in too. Skirt. Cover all our bases. All right, so let me get that a moment to dry. I'm gonna go back up to the ear. And this time, we are going to go, where is it? Oh, E19. We're gonna do this inner ear. I don't really like drawing ears that much. All these creases and folds and stuff. And because everybody's ear can be a little bit different, sometimes it's confusing. I'll do just enough to get by. I'm gonna jump back to my light suntan. I need that, what do I do with that color? Is it this one? This one, okay. This color, by the way, is YR12. My E11, E11. Yeah, this ear doesn't look right to me. The way I drew it, at least. That's why I don't really care for drawing them. It can be a little confusing. It is what it is. It's not the main focus of the drawing, so I won't obsess over it. Do what I can. Dark suntan. Where is it? This is it. Okay. Yeah, I do not like that here, but maybe you guys will feel differently. You know, you can let me know what you think. But yeah, it's not the main focus, so I won't trip over it like that. What I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna do her neck, and a little bit of orange in there. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in. We had an hour and 30 minutes. Let's see if I can wrap this before we get the 2-hour mark. And let's see, it's a little bit more to it actually. All right, I'm gonna build my colors up gradually, and I'm going to start with light suntan. There's a tiny necklace in there. I'm gonna leave it out. It doesn't really matter. And now I'm gonna use this RB95 for some of these deeper shadows. This is V93. This is a violet, the grayish violet color. And I want to get the transition from this darker color in there a little bit. It's actually a little too gray. Let me try this instead. Let's do pink. That's the wrong color. I need this one. RV93, which is a little bit more purplish. Alright, yeah, that's better. Now, if you remember, I said we had a little purple in the very beginning. We are now at that point. So I'll take that and blend it back with the RV95, which is what I used for the first color. Kind of blend those shadows a little bit. Alright, we're back to these tassel things. And I need, let's see, what do we have? A little too dark, a little lighter. Though I will use this color. I need something before I put that down. Maybe if I just put another layer of this. So this whole time I've been using this BV, excuse me, been using this BV 08, and this is a dark purple, dark bluish purple. Trying to get these shadows. All right. I think that's good enough. And we come back to her lips. I want to darken those up just a little bit. Where's that current color? Here we go. That wine color from earlier. Got a cast shadow from the earring. Keep that simple. And now it's time for the fun details. So you heard me talking earlier about using pencils for the small details. So where is it? Where is it? I need a white coal erase pencil. So we're gonna, oops, the camera shakes again. We're gonna use this, and we're gonna use one of these for the specular highlights, like on her lips. And I need a cotton swab. I'll get that later. First thing I want to do is I want to add in these highlights. So I'm gonna use this pencil. I'm gonna almost like carve some of these areas in. And it's mostly subtle. Now I will need to get a cotton swab. I'm probably save that later because I can't actually get to it because My stool that I'm using to hold my gooseneck is blocking it. It's not a big deal. Basically, all I'm going to do with it is blend out some of these rough edges with the pencil that I'm making. That's all I'm really going to do. Nothing too complicated. And even with her hair, indicate some subtle highlights in there if you want. Probably would look better if I chose a better color, a more appropriate color for it. And on to my true favorite part of the drawing, the specular highlights. One on her nose. Even like smear it a little bit. What I was saying with the earrings earlier, this is all we're gonna do. Something like this. Try to keep it fairly simple. Just use a pen just to get a little bit of line work to that earring there. And now I'm just looking over the drawing, trying to see if there's anything else that I want to add something to. We talked about the background, and I wanted to get this under the 2-hour mark. So what I will do, I need this ivory, maybe good color. I'm going to use Eggshell E50, and this entire background I'm going to fill in with this color. It's a really light color, but you'll notice it once it's all there. This is a good skin tone color. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this in, and then I'm going to take that yellow color that I used in the beginning around her hair and put just a little bit of that around certain parts of the rest of the drawing. And it'll help make her pop a little bit, I think. Give this some juices. A little dry. Where's my refill? Always refill away from the drawing because you don't want to accidentally get something on there. supposed to do is you're supposed to refill like with both of the cap ends off. I can't remember why. Something to do with like I got some of this on my hand. I smell it, but I was tripping. You're supposed to fill it in with both caps off, and I think that helps to get the marker to go through both sides more effectively. I'm not quite sure. Since I got some on my hand, I'm going to use this alcohol. That helps to get it off, to make a spill. Just put some on the rag, and I'll use it to wipe the barrel and my fingers so they won't be sticky, because this stuff is sticky. You got to be careful when you're refilling. Don't get the alcohol on the tips of the marker. Try to avoid that. Alright. Where are we at on our time? 1:49. So we got roughly 10 minutes. Be enough. Because all we're doing is filling this in, which is a simple job. When it comes to filling in backgrounds like this, if you want to get it more even, you want to do circular motions. Maybe at about this pace right now that I'm doing. And that helps get it in a little bit more evenly. With lighter colors, you tend to have to give it a little bit more because they're so light. Sometimes it doesn't show up as much. You gotta give it a few layers. Almost there. 1:52 on our time. We got 8 minutes. Try to keep these tutorial videos under 2 hours because they can run a little long. And with this format that I'm doing now, which is basically like a live recording, I don't intend to go and edit out. So you're going to see this thing from start to end. With other past video recordings that I've done, I would like draw myself, well, I record draw myself. I would record myself drawing, and then I would take that and edit it and try to chop it down into a drawing it doesn't take us 2 hours, 4 hours of your day. Some people like to see that whole process, but I mean, I guess it depends. I feel like 3-4 hours is a long time to be watching one of these type of videos. But if you like it, you can do that. It's all up to you. Use a brush tip in since I'm closer to these smaller areas, just to get in there a little bit more effectively. All those corners and creases, crevices. All right, we got about 6 minutes. Well, 5 minutes now. Looking at my timer. My yellow. Here it is. This is what I was looking for. Alright, I don't like how bluish her shirt and the little tassel things are, so I'm about to knock that back with some neutral gray. This is clashing with everything else, which is kind of warm. And again, we want that consistency that we were talking about earlier. Kind of dry. Actually very dry. And this part of the drawing isn't important. We're really just going through and making small changes, as we see fit. We got 3 minutes left. I'm going to get my dark bark. I'm going to come back to the hair. I'm going to play up some of these darker shadows a little bit more. I'm dabbing it with the brush tip in now. Okay, and we got one last thing, one final detail that I want to include. If I can find my brown pencil from earlier. Here we go. So we have this, which is the pencil that I was using for like some of the line work earlier. And we're just doing some scribbles. So make it look a little fuzzy. Got 1 minute remaining. And then you can even take the cotton swab and go against this with it. That'll help it pop more. But you guys get the picture, you know. Pink pencil. A lot of stuff you can do, man. You can add some blush, you know, that type of thing. And then blend it out, you know. But this drawing is more or less complete. We are at 2 hours exactly, and yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this process, and I hope you like this new format that we're rocking with. Let me know what you think. I intend to do the future videos this way. I think it's more convenient and more time efficient for me, at least, because I don't have to worry about editing stuff. Just upload it as is. So yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this process. I will do some more different types of hair colors and things like that, but yeah, for now, just enjoy this one, this natural hair, and we'll catch you guys next time on the next video. Peace.